Hello paper crafters, I'm Sunny Sky and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. And today I've got a card for you from the Rooted in Nature stamp set, also featuring the Wood Textures 6x6 Designer Series papers. And we've got a double layer of cutouts on this card, the tree shape with the coordinating die cuts, and then also this diamond shape. And then on the inside we've even decorated with the reverse of that cutout to decorate the inside as well. So join me for this fun card that really packs a wow. For today's card, we are going to use Tranquil Tide and Early Espresso, a couple of Framelits, a square one, and also the one that coordinates with this Rooted in Nature bundle. And here are the cardstock sizes that you need. We're using the Wood Textures 6x6 paper, a couple of sheets, just a lighter and a darker selection. Okay, so I have trimmed these slightly different sizes so they're matted together. And your first trim that you're going to do, your first die cutting, is for the smaller one, which is the lighter cardstock. And I'm using a square framelit and just centering it in the cardstock, and then I'll run this through the Big Shot. Once you've got that through the Big Shot, save your scraps because you can do your little greeting banner with that scrap if you've used the lighter cardstock. So once you run it through the Big Shot, get your darker wood texture paper and go ahead and center them together on the cardstock as they will be matted, because you want to make sure that your tree cutout sits in the middle of that shape. And remember, the Stampin' Up! Dies cut along the interior of the metal wall. So even though this goes slightly outside the edges, as long as the inside doesn't go outside the edge, you will be in the die cut, even as you, even though it looks like you go over a little bit. And then we'll just run this through the Big Shot again, and you may want to stick some washi tape on it just to make sure it stays in place. Let me just do that real quick. Find the end of my washi tape. There it is. Make sure my mats are square. And just position that where I want it to be. Now at this point you can take this layer off. You don't need that one to go through the Big Shot. You could send it through the Big Shot because you aren't cutting into it at all. Okay, when you get this out of the Big Shot, if you don't have everything exactly square, if you turn this another direction when you put your card together, it could line up not how you want it. See how it's kind of off the edge here and more centered there, or extra space there. So just try and remember which way you did it. Alright, and this one on my sample card, I used it to decorate the inside of the card. So you can always do that. Just use this cutout or use it for a different card for something else. If you like a different side of it, you could reverse it, and that would be absolutely fine. So now comes the kind of tricky part, and that is we're going to ink up our stamp, and we've got to stamp it on our full card through this, because remember we want everything to line up. So I've got my full card here. I'm going to put this layer on top, and although I'm going to put dimensionals when I get it together, to stamp the tree, I'm going to stamp it without the dimensionals in place, because I want to stamp the tree through this opening in the die cut. Okay, so I've got my Tranquil Tide on there, and then we're just going to do some ink rolling. We're just going to kind of roll the edges of the stamp around to get some of this darker Early Espresso ink. And because I'm going from lighter to darker, I can use it and it won't mess up my Early Espresso. If I get a little Tranquil Tide in here, because this color is richer, it's not going to affect the ink pad. So now here is this part where you want to be very cautious as you're lining it up. And stamp that straight down into that hole that you created. We'll see how well I did. It's not completely centered, but pretty close. I haven't got any ink on my wood grain texture. Alright, so there is my stamped image, and you can see that it is dark around the edges where the Early Espresso went into effect there. And then we're just going to simply take Stampin' Dimensionals and go all around the edges of both layers with my dimensionals. Okay, I've got all my dimensionals on here. I've got them all, the backings taken off of them. And I'll simply line up for my card here. Get those dimensionals on there. Also, you could use the foam adhesive strips if you want a deeper layer on each one. Now, before I go ahead and adhere this one down, and let me make sure I've got it on the right, go in the right direction again. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this ribbon, and I've just used the cotton ribbon, and I'm going to lay it where it's going to go here, just so I kind of have an idea, so I don't have to thread it through later. And we'll go ahead and line that up, run that down. Now, because we are doing this ribbon on a corner, not on a straight edge, because it's on a diagonal, I'm going to get my glue dots here and put a glue dot to keep it in place, because if I tie this ribbon tight, it's going to try and go up there because it's a narrower spot. So I want it to stay where I've got it here. So I'm just going to put a little glue dot down there where I want that knot to go, so that the ribbon doesn't try and slide up on me. Get my little knot together. Okay, and get that tied. You also could do a little faux knot there and just a knot, not wrap it around, but I like the idea of it being wrapped around that wood texture there. And I'm sorry this color of ribbon is not available anymore, but you can find something similar, but it's very soft, this cotton ribbon. We've got it, I think, in red now. I also stamped the "To Thank You for All You Do," but I'm just going to take a portion of this. I'm just going to cut out the "To Thank You" part and make a shorter ribbon. You can always do that with your sentiments. Just use part of it instead of the whole thing. And I'll just slant it on the tag there on the edge. And let me get a mini dimensional. These come in very handy sometimes, except for the part where you're trying to get a hold of them with your fingers. Okay, and I'm just going to put that right on the edge here, and I'm going to run that right over to the edge of this layer. And it is the same color of wood paper. Remember, we took the square from the center of this and used it for that, but it's in a little different area, so it has a slightly different texture and feel to it there. You also could sponge the edge of that. And then we'll take the inside of the card and take one of the other greetings. I've kind of made a mess of this one, but words are never enough, and I'm going to do it in the Tranquil tie just to bring back in that green from the front page there. Hey, I have just one final tip for you here. We've inked up the stamp. I have not re-inked it, but if you huff on it, breathe on it heavily, you can sort of re-moisten it a little bit. And I'm just going to put it slightly off the edge on my envelope here, just to create a decorated envelope. Now, this is a 6x6 card, so it doesn't fit in a standard envelope, but these are 6x9 catalog envelopes. And you can get them where they open at the top or at the side, and then you can decorate your envelope and mail your 6x6 card. So thanks for joining me today for this creative layered card. I really like the way that it uses the die cuts and the fact that they are bundled together with a stamp set, so I love saving 10%. So if you haven't got a demonstrator, shop on my website. Please share this video with a friend who might like the technique, and subscribe to my channel so you can get all the fun things. And make sure you go have some fun crafting today.